Coming up on this episode of 101 Sports.
Which sports teams need to start the process?
NFL Combine updates.
NCAA conference tournaments.
All that and so much more.
And it all starts right now. Hello and welcome to this episode of 101 Sports. I'm Matt Holzapfel.
And I'm Thomas Hale. Sports is in prime with every major sport going on right now, but before we get into the action, Matt and I are going to tackle the quick hitters. Recently, ESPN reported that the FBI recorded conversations of Arizona head coach Sean Miller, ensuring a $100,000 payment to DeAndre Ayton to play at Arizona. As a response, four-star recruit Shareef O'Neal decommitted from Arizona and verbally committed to UCLA. So Matt, was this a smart decision for the power forward?
Of course it was. And for starters, Arizona's whole basketball program seems to be in limbo now with the allegations. Are they going to get some kind of suspension in the future? The team, maybe Miller.
They're definitely going to be
overall.
under investigation for the next year or so. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And so if I'm Shareef O'Neal, obviously probably going to be a one and done. I want to play basketball, scandal-free for 1 year and go to the pros. So Arizona's not the best place for him to do that.
And in honor of Best Original Screenplay from the Oscars last week, Shareef O'Neal, get out. Great decision. Going to UCLA. He's the hometown kid there. And if he plays anything like his dad did at LSU, they're going to be very lucky.
And this isn't a step down either. UCLA was his second choice the whole time, so I don't think he's disappointed with this. Obviously, he committed to Arizona. He liked Arizona. Yeah. He probably liked Sean Miller and the whole program, but distance yourself from this scandal as much as you can and go to a cleaner program.
UCLA now has the third best recruiting class in the nation. They could pair him very well with Moses Brown, incoming center, 5 stars. Could be a scary combination next year.
Especially under Steve Alford. Going to be a good team next year for sure.
Absolutely. Let's look out.
According to multiple reports, Cleveland Browns general manager John Dorsey is open to trading the first overall pick in the NFL draft. Cleveland also possesses the 4th overall pick as well as multiple picks in the 2nd and 4th rounds of the draft. With the number 1 and number 4 overall picks in their possession, Thomas, should the Browns trade that number 1 pick?
After watching this combine, how could you even think about trading that pick? Because Saquon Barkley, what a freaking combine. What a great combine. He came in and absolutely tore it up. They could totally take him first before any other team, and there will be plenty of great quarterbacks coming in for their 4th pick.
And Barkley was so good. People aren't even talking about Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, maybe the top 5, top 2 quarterbacks taken. So I think the Browns are going to take Darnold at 1, and in a perfect scenario, they're going to get Barkley at 4 too, an absolute tandem. But
I just can't imagine him going to 4.
I really don't either. He's going to go at 2 or 3 Giants or Colts, and so for that reason, I think they should trade the 4th pick, not the 1st pick. Maybe to a team even at the Jets at 6, just drop 2 picks, get some more picks.
We mentioned picks to build
they have a lot of picks.
What else do you think they need though? Because if you get a quarterback, they need a guy that can come in, an impact player, a running back like Saquon Barkley, just a generational talent. They can come in, completely change everything.
And I would love to see them take Barkley at 1 because there's a better likelihood that Rosen or Darnold are going to be available.
And imagine that pairing. It could take a lot of pressure off the quarterback if you get such a strong running back. I just think
the most Browns thing possible is for them to take a QB at 1, and that's what's going to happen. They should take Barkley at 1. I really don't see it happening. It could work out well, though.
Will they ever learn? Really hope that they do.
I hope they do.
Absolutely. Paris Saint-Germain forward Neymar Jr. underwent successful surgery on his right foot to repair a fractured metatarsal. He is expected to be fit to play approximately 2 weeks before the World Cup starts. If Neymar is not 100%, Matt, how far can Brazil go?
Not far. This is bad. He's their best player, and he makes the whole team overall better. I really think a round of 16 exit is possible right into those knockout stages coming out of the group stage. You have to look at it from 2 angles. First of all, what are they going to do to replace him? I really see Felipe Coutinho moving to the left and Willian maybe coming into that right side. But you look at their group. It's them. It's Serbia, Switzerland, Costa Rica. It's not
really
a super
easy
tough
group stage, which is why I agree with you. They'll definitely get through that group stage. But I think Brazil is such a strong team outside of Neymar. Like you said, Coutinho can replace him. But they have such a strong midfield now. Casemiro, absolute rock. Paulinho's been great dishing out the ball.
Do you think they can go farther than 16?
I think they can go to the quarterfinals, absolutely. And once Gabriel Jesus comes back, he can relieve some pressure.
And I like Gabriel Jesus a lot. But you look at who they're going to match up with. Them, either if they win or runner-up, they're going to be against Group F winners or runners-up. Group F's top 2 teams, Germany and Mexico. Those aren't 2 teams you can get by against with your B team.
You remember what happened last year with Germany, too.
Exactly, 7-1 in the semifinals. Brazil as well, they're going to have a tough time with either Germany or Mexico, especially without Neymar.
It's going to be fun to watch. They did say that it looks successful, though, so hopefully he'll be back to play for his national team.
Yeah, best case scenario, you don't even play without him at all. We're talking about it for nothing, but we have to talk about it because he is their best player, and he's at risk of missing this World Cup. It's a real concern for a lot of Brazilian fans.
I would love to watch him play this game, obviously. We saw him win the Olympics a couple years ago. To see him win a World Cup, the amount of happiness that he'd experience would be incredible.
Yeah, Brazil hasn't won a World Cup in Europe since the 50s, one of the first World Cups ever held, so this would be huge for Brazil, obviously, and Russia.
Oh, let's see him soon.
Highly touted Missouri forward Michael Porter Jr. has been cleared for full contact after back surgery earlier this season, but did not play in Missouri's final regular season game against Arkansas. Porter is one of the top prospects in this June's NBA draft and is almost a lock to be a top 5 pick. Thomas, if Porter's healthy, do you play him?
I think you've absolutely got to play him because you're in a win-or-go-home situation right now. They need this SEC tournament to get through into the NCAA tournament in the future. And they're going to be playing the winner of the Georgia or Vanderbilt game. Two pretty easy opponents that they could get by. What they're worried about is that Kentucky game afterwards.
And the most important thing you said with those 3 letters, SEC, one of the toughest college basketball conferences. If they win, you mentioned they're playing Kentucky. Without Michael Porter Jr., it's going to be a struggle to get past Kentucky.
They're number 33 in the nation offensive efficiency. Michael Porter Jr. comes in, automatically boosts the amount of points.
And you have to look at it from his perspective, too. If he comes back and he can prove that this isn't a recurring injury and he's close to 100%, that bumps his draft stock infinitely because he's proven that he's ready to get drafted, maybe even into the top 2, where he's the top 5 now. But if you're Missouri, you're looking past SEC into the NCAA tournament as well. And obviously a no-brainer that Michael Porter Jr. gives them the best chance to succeed. So, but you have to obviously ease him in. He's not going to be ready to play.
And I think that that's kind of what they should
do
with this SEC tournament is they should definitely play him. But as you said, ease him in a little bit, mess with his minutes. Don't play him too much in that first Georgia or Vanderbilt matchup. Give him the Kentucky one.
It's an excellent trial period for the NCAA tournament, especially if they can even get past Kentucky with Porter paying limited minutes, if at all. So I think he's going to be okay. I really would like to see him play as his college career winds down.
Incredible player.
That is all the time we have for the quick hitters, but don't go anywhere because I will be joined at the desk by our 2 experts to discuss which teams need to rebuild using the process. Stay tuned. The process, a term used to describe a roster teardown in search of stars and building from the ground up. We've seen the positive results from the Sixers process in the NBA, but today I'm here with Evan and Jenny to discuss which team outside of the NBA needs to undergo their own process. Evan, let me start with you. Give me your baseball team that needs the process.
Well, I got to go with the team that ranks last for their minor league baseball system, and that is the Kansas City Royals. This offseason, they had some big losses in Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, and they might actually lose Mike Moustakas on top of that. This team was at their height 3 years ago.
And that's
in
my
the back-to-back
thing.
World Series.
That's my thing. Because
Back-to-back
they
World
had
Series.
back-to-back World Series, that's sort of the price of doing business when you're good. You trade away young talent so that you have good
But
talent.
they have no young talent. Their talent is young in the minor leagues with Sauli Matias,
but can you talk
Michael Carrasco,
Can you talk about them being a mediocre team for years and years when they were in back-to-back World Series appearances?
They weren't a mediocre team for years and years. Now they're a mediocre team. Now they're a god-awful team. They aren't even
god-awful.
They are bad.
No,
they are not.
Here's the thing. When we're talking about bad teams, I said the Tampa Bay Rays.
How can you say the Tampa Bay Rays?
They traded away Evan Longoria. They haven't been in the playoffs in quite some time.
The Rays are playing in the hardest division in baseball, which is the AL East.
That's what makes it the perfect opportunity to
but
be
they don't
bad
need
enough.
to rebuild. The Rays have the number 6 minor league system.
But that's
Their
not
system
the point.
is known
Their
for producing
current
talent.
team is terrible, though.
Their current team is not terrible.
The goal is not to create a good minor league team. The goal is to create a good major league
Which
team
they are,
that wins the World
because
Series.
their system is known to produce
Need a lot
talent
of
such
help.
as Josh Hamilton, Chris Archer,
And what has it gotten
Kevin
them?
Kiermaier,
What has it gotten
David
them?
Price, Melvin
Two
Upton Jr.
teams that need a lot of help moving forward. Jenny, give me your NHL team that needs a process.
So going on teams that have been mediocre, not good enough to win it, but not bad enough to get those top picks. The San Jose Sharks. They've got too many contributors at the wrong side of 30. Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, Brent Burns. These are guys who've been good for a while, but now they're just too old to say that this is a team that can go.
And I'm
going to
bring up your point that you just did in baseball. This team is second in the Pacific Division. They have a shot to make the playoffs.
But they don't have a shot to win.
They've been decent in the recent
They
years,
don't.
just like the Kansas City Royals.
Right, but they don't
But
have
you
a
know
shot
a team
to win
who
the cup.
hasn't
They have
been
not
there?
win a championship anytime recently.
But you know a team who's
And
not
that's
even
the
come
thing.
close? This team, Vice Sports quotes them as the Coyotes are the Cleveland Browns of hockey
And
with
here's the
worse
thing.
uniforms.
Here's the thing.
With worse uniforms.
The Coyotes are going through a rebuild right now. They're building that talent. They're currently trying to be bad.
Fail
they are
at
going through
rebuilding.
their process. How are they failing at rebuilding? They're one of the worst teams on purpose. that they're going through the process
They've been one of the worst
now.
teams on purpose for the last 3 seasons.
Right, and they're still
that
getting
means
that
their
talent.
rebuilding hasn't even
obviously
worked.
not working. Something has to change. Let's move into the final league, the NFL. Evan, give me your NFL team that needs the process.
I have to go with the Seattle Seahawks.
How can you say the Seahawks?
Because
Again.
they have absolutely no offensive line to speak of. Their only prayer is Russell Wilson.
We're talking about a team that won the Super Bowl not even 4 full years ago.
Legion of Boom has become the Legion of Broken Coverage.
It doesn't matter.
They're injury prone. Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, Earl Thomas.
This is a good team.
Not a good team anymore. Since Marshawn Lynch retired, this team has gone downhill. Their defense hasn't been there. Their offensive line is nowhere to speak of.
But again, that's what happens when you're good. You don't get those top players.
But now they need to.
My team is the Jets. And this is a team that when you talk about mediocre forever, it is the New York Jets. They're the poster team.
We're not
for
talking
that.
about mediocre forever. We're talking about teams that
a mediocre
were good,
team.
now bad,
That's not what
need
the
to
process
rebuild.
is. When you talk about the Sixers, they were mediocre forever. That's the idea.
They were good back when they had Allen Iverson in the
That
early
was
2000s.
years and years ago.
All 6 need to take a lesson from the 76ers and trust the process. But that is all we have from our rebuilding process. Don't go anywhere because Thomas will be doing his best 40 time to bring you the NFL Combine.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
36 homers. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it deep back into the stands.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back. It's time for the NFL's Dog and Pony Show in Indianapolis. Over 300 of the best college prospects from around the country have been invited to show off their skills, and we have invited our NFL experts to talk us through the biggest storylines of the Combine so far. So guys, injuries are obviously something that's going to come up during the Combine. So far, Billy Price and Kerryon Johnson have been experiencing some injuries, really big prospects in the Combine so far. Which one has a bigger effect on their draft stock? Brad?
For me, it's Billy Price. Looking into the Combine and as far as mock drafts right now, he's almost a lock for a first-round pick, but he suffered a significant injury, a torn pec. If he needs surgery for that, that could put him out 4-6 months, take away half his season. That could take him out of the first round, and that could cost him a ton of money in his eventual contract.
He actually just had surgery, and they're expecting 4 months, and it's very, very minor. So I don't think it's really going to.
Torn pec's not minor.
It's very minor when it comes to the
advancements
of medical industry.
But what happens with the draft is any
minor.
Semblance of a little injury. Well, you get
no, I mean, Kerryon Johnson, even this senior year, he had issues with his ribs and his shoulder.
Exactly.
And I think it could really tell by his numbers in the Combine, especially when it comes to bench press, when he had 11 reps.
But my thing with him is
for running back.
He came into this and through the season was very banged up. Price wasn't. This is the first big injury for Price to this extent.
But
and
when it comes to his
stock,
position, I don't really think it's going to affect his draft stock. I think 4 months is fine.
If you could take,
and I still think as a player,
taking a guy
all
at the 22nd,
all the sampling size, the whole entire season, he's been unbelievable. And I don't think a minor injury is really
4 months could
him.
cost him half the season potentially.
No.
And at that point, what's Kerryon Johnson's draft
So
stock? All right.
Excuse me,
All
Brad.
right, go
but
ahead.
let's get into Lamar Jackson right now.
Oh, yeah.
Another big story so far was obviously Lamar's a QB.
That's right.
And they asked him to play out as a wide receiver, do a couple drills as a wide receiver. He declined, reiterating that he is a quarterback. Jimmy, was this a good idea for Lamar or not?
I'm a person that I believe in what I believe, and I'm going to do that. So for me, it's hard to go against him because he really believes he's a quarterback, but I really think he needs to keep his mindset open about being a wide receiver.
No. This whole wide receiver Lamar Jackson thing is, to me, just this giant media narrative that's getting pushed and pushed and pushed to make a story out of it. There is no player who has been skilled at quarterback, passing, mobility, arm strength.
Terrell Pryor, Denard Robinson.
That's not what I was. If you let me finish, I was going to get to what I was saying. None of those guys were as good quarterbacks as Lamar Jackson ever was. Lamar Jackson is probably a fringe starter in the NFL, but he's definitely an NFL quality quarterback. None of those guys were NFL quality quarterbacks and were more skilled athletically.
What about Braxton Miller?
I'm going to have to jump in real quick.
What year did he have this past year?
We're going to be moving on, guys. I apologize.
Exactly.
Do agree. Lamar Jackson probably should play QB, but lots of potential as a wide receiver too. So let's move on. Another inspirational story. Shaquem Griffith, guys, linebacker. Yeah. Really big combine with the 4.38 breaking the record for the 40-yard dash, 20 reps on the bench press. How does this affect his stock, Brad?
Look, I love the story. I want him to succeed, but he's nothing more than a 5th or 6th round pick at this point. Coming into this, that's what he was. He has great physical tools, but what's his true position? Is he really a linebacker in the NFL? Is he just a special teams
I'm going to
guy?
have to stop you right. I'm going to have to stop you there.
Hold on.
No, because he's a 3rd round draft pick.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He showed it. He ran a 4.38.
Okay, so physical
He was the fastest linebacker. He swarms to the ball. Let me tell you, he has more heart than anyone else on that field.
He has the size to be a pro linebacker?
Yes, he does.
He's not a positionless player?
No, he is going to play that position in the NFL. He's going to be a 3rd round draft pick.
He's not going to be more than a special teams guy.
He's going to be a big part of special teams, and he's also going to be on the field. He is going to play linebacker. Mark my words right now. He will play linebacker.
I want him to succeed. I'm not against the guy, but a special teams positionless athletic guy is not a 3rd round pick.
Hey guys, I think that we can all agree that we're definitely rooting for him to have some success in the NFL, right?
It would be nice to see.
Let's agree. That's all the time we have for the Combine. Hopefully our 40 times weren't too bad. Up next, Matt sits down with Megan Podgorski and Ennis Warlick to tell us what we need to know about the NCAA conference tournaments.
March is here, and with that, college basketball moves into the chaos that is tournament time. I'm joined at the desk by our experts, Ennis Warlick and Megan Podgorski, to discuss which conference tournaments have the biggest impact on the big dance. Now, Megan, Penn State earned a huge victory over Ohio State, their 3rd victory of the season over the Buckeyes. Is Penn State in the tournament?
I don't think so. For me, this year, college basketball has been hyper competitive. Certain conferences like the ACC and the Big 12 have so many teams that could have spots that are normally given to the Big 10. In the Big 10, yes, they have, the Buckeyes are always great, but it's been
good team, yeah.
It's a great team. Yeah. But for me, they're not there yet. And even if they did get there, they'd be out in the first couple rounds.
Okay, so Penn State is a very shaky team. They're kind of on the bubble here, but here's the thing about Penn State. They played almost every team that they've played very, very tough.
Yes, absolutely.
Mind you, Matt already pointed out, they've already beaten Ohio State 3 times. Vanderbilt beat Florida 3 times last year, and they had a 9-15 record. They still got into the tournament. I think it's a sort of, if they get in, okay. If they get out, okay. But I think it's a little closer than a lot of people are saying.
I totally agree. It's possible that they could end up getting that bubble
Absolutely.
spot, but who knows when it comes to tournament time and how all these games in the.
They have a tough team.
They have a tough team,
and I think they'd be a problem.
Absolutely.
Penn State very much on the bubble. You can bet they'll be watching Selection Sunday. Ennis, Bonzie Colson back from that foot fracture for Notre Dame. Are they a threat to win the ACC tournament?
I think they are.
I
think a lot of people.
No way.
I think a lot of people are counting them out, and it's because they didn't have Bonzie Colson the entire year. They shoot a lot of threes. They've challenged a lot of good teams. They've beaten UVA. They haven't beaten UVA. They played them very tough. They played UNC very tough. I think this is a very solid team.
So have you looked at the bracket yet?
I've taken a little peek.
So they would have to be Pitt, they'd have to be Virginia
Which
Tech,
they've
which
already
is
beat Pitt.
Virginia Tech is hot right now.
Virginia Tech is hot, but they're also very
And
inconsistent.
then if they beat Virginia Tech, they have to beat Duke. And then
they can beat Duke.
No, they can't.
They can definitely
No!
beat any team in the NCAA can beat Duke. I'm sorry, they can. Duke can't play. I've said this so many times. Duke can't play defense. They have a terrible point guard. They have an inconsistent point guard. And they're just not that good. They're an overrated
Bagley
team.
and
Bagley is good.
Allen.
Allen is inconsistent, but he's good.
Well, I guess
What
we'll
else?
just have then. So let's say they beat Duke. Let's take that and just run with it. Then they have to beat UVA, which I know you said that they
They're a beatable
already.
team.
UVA is the best team in the conference.
They are.
Super strong and they're confident. And I don't think that Notre Dame's coming back from this injury is going to really be enough.
So the key to beating UVA is shooting outside shots. This team is top 50 in the entire NCAA in shooting three-pointers.
They are, but
they force you to shoot three-pointers, and that's what Notre Dame will do.
I think they'll beat Pitt. I think they'll beat Virginia Tech, but there's no way they're going to make it into. They're not going to win the
ACC tournament. Definitely going to be heavily contested. Fun to watch. Last question, Megan. Texas edged out West Virginia to really strengthen their bubble status. Of the two Big 12 teams, Texas and Baylor, who has a better chance to be in the last four in rather than the first four out?
I mean, Texas and Baylor are identical in statistics if you look at them.
I don't think they're identical.
Well, I mean, if you look at win-loss record and percentage and all that stuff, and the teams they've played, the Big 12 has been hyper-competitive, as we mentioned earlier. So I just don't. It was hard for me. I picked Baylor. I think they are stronger and more confident than Texas, and I think it's about time that program really got going again. And I think that the eagerness to be in the tournament is going to be enough for them, and I feel like Texas doesn't have that drive.
I also picked Baylor, and I'm gonna add another point on to that, saying that Baylor really the only bad losses they suffered was TCU and Kansas State.
Absolutely.
I'm also gonna sort of counter that and say that Texas has Mo Bamba, and they're a tough team.
Definitely a good player. Two teams trying to get in. They're gonna watch Selection Sunday for sure. But that is all the time we have for this NCAA block. Thomas will be back here next to break down the youth movement in the NBA.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
I don't know what's happening. Start a new chat. What did I do? Okay. Wow. It's so weird.
Hey! Hi!
Oh my gosh. Hi! God, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm so nervous. Gia, you're so big. Come closer to the camera. Wait, now you're in my face. That was so good.
It's no fairy tale that the right fit means everything, especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
That does make a difference.
To find out more, visit safercar.gov/therightseat.
Danse, balance la cadence, ondule bien tes hanches, au bal du dimanche.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
LeBron James touted Ben Simmons with a young king after Simmons and his counterpart Joel Embiid beat the new-look Cavs last week. In light of Simmons' recent crowning, our NBA experts Dominic Vernazza and Emmanuel Taube will discuss the NBA's abundance of strong young stars and how this generation of young guns are unlike any other group of talent in NBA history. So first question, guys, is the NBA turning into a young man's game?
Oh, definitely. It's a young man's game, and we have younger talent as well. I mean, if you check the numbers between the 1990s and 2000s, there's been 8 MVPs that were over the age of 29. Between 2001 and 2017, there were 3. The youngest MVP was Derrick Rose at 22.
Well, it was also a terrible
Come on,
MVP
now, look at
pick.
It.
Look,
come on. Oh, it was not a terrible MVP pick.
It was.
He was
but
explosive.
I'm not even going to debate that. So I feel like it's always kind of been a young man's game. Maybe a little bit younger now just because they only have to spend a year at college. But there's always been young stars dominating. You know, LeBron James, his whole draft class came in. They made a huge impact right away. And then when you look at who are the best players right now, they're in that 27, 28, 29 age bracket. Durant, Curry, Harden. So I think it's always been a game that, you know, young talent can thrive more so than other leagues.
Yeah, but together they can't. If you look at the teams,
you know, plenty of players who are, you know, a little bit older still dominating. I think that's how it's always been. You know,
well,
you got
guys,
LeBron who's killing
we're talking about all this young talent right now. What's been the cause of this influx of young talent in the NBA so far, Dom?
The NBA is a global game. I mean, look at it, guys like Porzingis, Embiid, Simmons, Jokic, Antetokounmpo. You know, they all came from abroad, and it's really showing that the NBA is, of the 4 major sports leagues, it has the widest global influence. You're pulling more players in, you're going to get better players.
Yeah, but those players that you named, the one thing that they all have in common, they came into the league at age 19. They were one-and-done players. To me, it's
Porzingis came in at 20.
Porzingis came in at 20. He just turned 20. But to me, if you look at the league, it's a very just based because of college, the one-and-done system, as well as they allow players to come in at age 19. It's just so much easier for you to get young talent. And the NBA values young talent now.
You know, they used to have where you could come in right out of high school. But, you know, I think there's more young talent even now.
Well, no, only 44 players
pool.
came into the NBA out of high school.
Well, they only had that for a few years. Look,
no, they had that from the 60s to 2005.
They did not have that from the 60s.
They did. It started in the 60s.
3 years. What are you talking about?
No, they
that
did.
was a one-off hardship.
But point is, if you look at the one-and-done rule and you name the players that you just named, Ben Simmons, one-and-done at LSU. I mean, just look at the whole college system allows the NBA to really value those young players.
His game in Australia because of the reach that the NBA now has overseas.
Well,
you know, he
guys,
grew up playing in Australia.
So we got to move on to this final question. It's a good one. What player under 25 do you guys think is going to be the best player in the league in the next couple of years?
So for me, I said Ben Simmons. I love
Ben Simmons isn't even the best under 25 player on his own team.
I love Ben Simmons.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean on his team? But look
Joel
at
Embiid's better.
No, but listen, okay? Right now, rookie year, he's averaging 16.5 points per game. And then if you just see his court vision, his maturity, he's playing so well. I'm expecting him to grow a lot in terms of like the next couple of years.
Ben Simmons.
Who you got, Dom?
I got Giannis Antetokounmpo because he looks like a player I'd make in NBA 2K. He's 6'10", possibly still growing. He's
Ben Simmons is also 6'10".
Dunks from the free-throw line in-game over players.
Ben
incredibly
Simmons
skilled. And look, here's the biggest problem I have with Ben Simmons. He hasn't attempted a single three that's not a half-court shot. He shoots with the wrong hand. He can't even shoot a mid-range shot.
Well,
and
guys,
yes, he's good.
They both have similar jump shot percentages.
They don't at all. Giannis
jump shot
threes.
I apologize, guys. I wish we could talk about this more, I swear. Such a big one, but that's all the time we have right now. There you have it. Be sure to check out some of the young studs in the NBA as their season gears up and the season winds down, excuse me. That's all we got for right now. We'll be right back very soon. Some of the most memorable plays in sports aren't necessarily the game winners, but the ones that leave us shocked at their flashiness. In the wake of James Harden's crossover that still has Wes Johnson reeling, Matt, who is or was the biggest showboat in sports?
I went a bit off mainstream here. I said Muhammad Ali, first of all, the greatest boxer that ever lived. The way he danced around the ring, he embodied float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He would dance around his opponent. He would trash talk in the ring and out of the ring before the match, after the match, during the match.
Too.
He got in opponents' heads, and that's what part of made him so good. He 56-5 all time with 37 knockouts. He backed up his trash talk, and he said quotes like, "If you ever dream of beating me, you better wake up and apologize." He knew he was the best, and that's what part of made him was such a good showboater.
Easily one of the best people to quote. If you ever want to get inspired, get ready to go. Muhammad Ali right there. My guy's a little bit different, a little less inspirational. Terrell Owens, one of the cockiest NFL players to ever play the game, honestly. Whenever this guy got in the end zone, he was looking to do something to set everyone apart, and it made a lot of fans angry. For example, took the popcorn from Dallas while he was there.
Popcorn.
The popcorn's such a good one, dumping it in his face. When he was at San Francisco, scored against the Cowboys, ran to the middle of the star to place the football in the middle of it. So disrespectful. And then me personally was upset by this one. While he was at the Eagles, he did Ray Lewis's dance in their end zone at Baltimore, lit everyone on fire.
And that only gets in the other players' head. You said it yourself when you said you're a Ravens fan, and that hurt you. He gets in the fans' heads.
Exactly.
He gets when they're home, he gets in their head. He gets them fired up. When they're away, they're all mad. They're yelling. That pumps up his own team to perform even better with all
And
that
I remember
showboating.
when he moved to the Eagles, there were already so many fans there that didn't like him as a person, that just were not happy to have him on the team.
Exactly. As someone who dominated their team in the same conference early, I can imagine how that would tick a lot of fans off.
Great player, though. Great celebration.
Exactly.
That's all the time we have for this episode of 101 Sports.
Special thanks to all our producers, crew, talent, and you, the viewer, for tuning in.
If you like what you saw and want to see more, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at 101 Sports.
That is all from us here. So until next time, whose side are you on?